Moneybagg Yo has been one of the most consistent names in rap over the past several years. Coming out of Memphis, he built his career from the ground up, turned strong mixtape buzz into mainstream success, and became one of the most dependable commercial artists in the industry. His name carries respect, and his music speaks for itself. For a long time, the story surrounding him seemed pretty clear. Stay focused, keep working, and keep winning. But then a major headline changed the conversation completely. It wasn't about a new album, a tour, or a big collaboration. Instead, it centered on a legal dispute involving a huge amount of money, the kind of figure that instantly grabs attention: $100 million. That is the amount connected to a civil lawsuit that quickly had people asking questions about Moneybagg Yo's earlier business relationships, his rise in the music world, and the people who were involved before he became a mainstream star. Want to know what has been happening while this $100 million legal dispute involving his name has been making its way through a Tennessee courtroom? Curious about what court filings, text messages, and other publicly discussed evidence reportedly contain? Stick with us, because before diving into those details, it's important to understand the full story. If you think this is only about the dollar amount attached to the case, there is much more to the situation. Yo, what's good, fam? Welcome back. Let's get into it. Before talking about the legal case, it helps to understand the artist first, because the disagreement makes a lot more sense when you know the journey behind it. Moneybagg Yo, whose real name is Demario Dwayne White Jr., was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, a city known for its unique music scene and for producing many respected voices in hip-hop over the years. Memphis has a reputation for shaping artists through hard work and real-life experiences, and Moneybagg Yo came out of that environment with a style and determination that stood out. He began releasing music seriously during the early to mid-2010s, putting out mixtapes, independent projects, and a steady stream of music that helped him build a loyal regional following before gaining wider attention online. His rise did not happen overnight. It was a gradual climb built through consistency. Project after project, he expanded his catalog, while many other artists struggled to maintain the same momentum. Moneybagg Yo kept moving forward, and over time, that steady effort earned recognition far beyond Memphis. That early chapter of his career is something many people overlooked when the recent headlines appeared. That period matters because it was during those early years that several business relationships, which are now part of the ongoing legal dispute, were reportedly established. Before major record deals and mainstream success, an artist's support team and business partnerships often look very different from the people involved after their career reaches a much larger stage. In the early stages of an artist's career, there are often managers, financial backers, and supporters who invest their time, resources, and connections before the spotlight arrives. Sometimes those partnerships end smoothly as success grows, and other times they become the subject of disagreements. According to public court filings, that is exactly the type of situation at the center of this case. Now, let's talk about Sherry Jackson Floyd. She is the main plaintiff in this civil lawsuit, and the story of how she first connected with Moneybagg Yo is one detail that many reports only briefly mentioned. Jackson Floyd was not working in the music business at the time. She was not a talent scout, music manager, or record label executive. According to the lawsuit, she first met Moneybagg Yo while working at Bank of America. At the time, she worked in banking, and the filings say her financial knowledge and business experience helped create the initial connection between them. That's an interesting detail because the person now seeking $100 million through this legal action did not enter the picture through the traditional music industry route. Instead, the relationship reportedly began through a professional banking connection before growing into something much broader. Court filings describe that relationship as developing well beyond a typical customer and banker interaction, and that background is important because it provides context for the business arrangement that is now being examined as part of the ongoing legal proceedings. According to court filings, this was not simply a business arrangement between people in the music industry. The relationship was described as both personal and professional, which can sometimes make later business disagreements more complicated, especially if important details are not documented in formal agreements. The lawsuit states that Sherry Jackson Floyd began working with Moneybagg Yo around 2015 to 2016. At that point, Moneybagg Yo was still building his career. Reports in the filings say he was earning roughly $1,525 per performance, reflecting the early stages of his rise. This was long before major tours, large streaming numbers, or widespread mainstream recognition. It was the period when he was consistently performing, growing his audience, and working to establish himself in the industry. According to the lawsuit, Jackson Floyd chose to support that stage of his career in more than one way, including financially and through business involvement. Those claims are a major reason this case has attracted so much attention, because the filings describe a working relationship that went beyond a typical professional arrangement. Of course, these are allegations presented in the lawsuit and remain part of an ongoing legal dispute. The filings also describe the specific responsibilities Jackson Floyd says she took on. According to her claims, she served in both personal and business management roles for Moneybagg Yo, a point that has become one of the central issues being examined as the case moves through the legal process. According to the lawsuit, Jackson Floyd's role went far beyond offering occasional advice. The filings say she helped manage day-to-day business matters, registered trademarks, and completed paperwork to establish Bread Gang Enterprises as a limited liability company in Tennessee. The complaint describes her as helping build much of the legal and business structure behind the brand during its early stages, work that many artists usually have handled by a dedicated team. The financial claims in the lawsuit are also a major part of the case. According to the complaint, Jackson Floyd says she invested between $1.5 million and $2 million in support of Moneybagg Yo's career. The filing also includes a detailed description of how those funds were allegedly used, making the claims much more specific than a headline alone might suggest. According to the lawsuit, she says she contributed $125,000 toward a Rolls-Royce, paid certain credit card balances after receiving requests, spent about $50,000 on jewelry, and covered social media promotion intended to expand his online visibility. The plaintiff's attorney also claims she helped provide support for several of his children during that period. These are all allegations presented in the lawsuit and have been disputed through the legal process. Taken together, the complaint describes a level of personal and business involvement that goes well beyond a typical management arrangement. According to the plaintiff's claims, she played a significant role in both the business and personal support surrounding Moneybagg Yo during his early career. That context is one reason the case has drawn attention, as it explains why someone without a previous music industry background says she invested so heavily in an artist's early development. According to the lawsuit, by 2017, those early efforts were beginning to show significant results. The filing claims that Moneybagg Yo's annual earnings had grown to around $3 million, and it argues that Jackson Floyd's management and business support played an important role in that progress. The complaint points to that period as a major turning point in his career, even though it also mentions legal challenges and a serious security incident at one of his concert events that brought additional public attention. Jackson Floyd's attorney, Ralph Gibson, summed up the plaintiff's position by saying, "Obviously, he was the artist, but without her, he could not have gotten as big as he got." That statement reflects the plaintiff's argument, and whether it is ultimately accepted is for the court to determine. Still, the figures cited in the filings have made this case a topic of widespread discussion. This is also where the story shifts from personal history to a legal disagreement. According to the amended complaint, much of the working relationship was based on what it describes as handshake agreements rather than a formal written management contract. Instead of detailed signed paperwork, the lawsuit says many of the understandings were discussed through conversations and text messages. That distinction has become one of the central issues in the case. The complaint then outlines several promises it claims were made during that period. According to the plaintiff, Moneybagg Yo agreed to provide weekly payments of $5,000, a Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon valued at approximately $150,000, and 1/3 of past and future brand revenue. Those claims are key parts of the lawsuit and remain allegations that are being addressed through the legal process. According to the lawsuit, those were substantial commitments. The plaintiff claims that none of them were ultimately fulfilled, including the reported weekly payments, the vehicle, or the proposed share of brand revenue. Those allegations form a major part of the legal dispute now being considered by the court. One reason this case has attracted so much attention is that the plaintiff's legal team included text messages in the court filings as supporting evidence. According to multiple reports about the case, one message is presented as showing Moneybagg Yo writing directly to Jackson Floyd. The reported message reads, "Starting next week, I might give you $5K a week to at least show you I'm not taking you for granted. Really appreciate you, Sherry. It'd be hard for me to show my feelings sometimes. G-Wagon comes soon, LOL." According to the plaintiff, that message supports her claim that certain commitments were discussed between the two. Because it appears in the court record, it has become one of the most closely examined pieces of evidence mentioned in public reporting on the case. Moneybagg Yo's legal position on these claims is part of the ongoing court proceedings, and the dispute has not been finally resolved. As the case moves forward, the court will determine how much weight, if any, should be given to the text messages and other evidence presented by both sides. One of the key questions is whether those communications represented enforceable business commitments or something else entirely. That issue sits at the center of the legal dispute. According to the lawsuit, the case is about more than disputed business promises. The complaint also describes a series of events that the plaintiff says had a significant impact on her personal and financial situation. She alleges that payments connected to the Rolls-Royce, for which she says she contributed a $125,000 down payment, were not made on time. The filing also claims that other accounts connected to her credit were affected. The plaintiff argues that because some of those financial obligations were linked to her credit, missed payments negatively affected her credit profile. According to the complaint, those financial difficulties eventually contributed to her losing her position at the bank where she had been working when she first met Moneybagg Yo. These are allegations contained in the lawsuit and remain part of the ongoing legal dispute. Those claims help explain why the case has received so much attention beyond the $100 million figure. The plaintiff says she entered the business relationship while working in a stable banking career, but later faced major financial setbacks after investing substantial time and money into supporting Moneybagg Yo's early career. That is the personal impact described in the court filings, although the claims have not been finally resolved by the court. Another detail that is often overlooked is the timeline. This legal case did not begin when the recent headlines gained traction. According to public court records, the lawsuit was originally filed in 2019 and later amended in 2022, meaning the dispute has been working its way through the legal system for several years before receiving widespread public attention. This legal dispute has remained in the Tennessee court system for several years, with court filings, scheduling changes, procedural motions, and other developments taking place while Moneybagg Yo's career continued to grow. During that time, his streaming numbers increased, his fan base expanded, and his tours continued to draw large crowds. The recent wave of attention is not because the lawsuit was newly filed, it's because the case has reached a new stage in the legal process. According to public reports, the trial date was recently confirmed for October in Shelby County, Tennessee. Around the same time, another development caught people's attention. Moneybagg Yo's lead attorney, Robert Spence, withdrew from representing him in the case before the scheduled trial. While attorney withdrawals can happen for many different reasons, the specific reason in this instance has not been publicly explained. Because of that, there's been increased public interest in the case. However, it's important not to assume the reason behind the attorney's withdrawal without evidence. The court proceedings remain active, and any explanation for that change would need to come from the parties involved or the court record. For now, it simply marks another development in an ongoing legal matter. Plaintiff's attorney, Ralph Gibson, also commented on why the lawsuit suddenly received widespread attention after years of relatively limited coverage. He said the recently confirmed trial date likely contributed to the renewed media interest, and he also noted that the change in Moneybagg Yo's legal representation may have increased public curiosity. According to public court records, this case has been part of the legal system since 2019. It was not sealed from public view, but it received relatively little attention until a confirmed trial date and a change in legal representation brought renewed focus to the proceedings. Both parties are scheduled to return to court on July 16th, with the trial currently set for October, based on the latest available court schedule. That means the case is still active and moving through the legal process. The next major development could come as those court dates approach, making this an ongoing story rather than one that has already reached a conclusion. Another reason the lawsuit has drawn attention is that Roc Nation is listed as a defendant. As one of the most well-known entertainment companies, its involvement has naturally increased public interest in the case. Roc Nation has worked with many high-profile artists and athletes, so its name appearing in court filings has led to broader media coverage. According to the lawsuit, the plaintiff alleges that after he joined the company, she was not compensated for the business support and financial contribution she says she provided during the earlier stages of his career. She further claims she was never reimbursed for the money she says she invested. According to the lawsuit, the plaintiff claims that text messages and other evidence indicate Moneybagg Yo informed Roc Nation about Jackson Floyd's involvement in the business management side of his career before signing with the company. The complaint argues that Roc Nation was aware of an earlier management relationship and nevertheless moved forward without reaching a financial agreement with her regarding the roles she says she played in his early career. Those are allegations presented by the plaintiff and remain disputed. The plaintiff's attorney, Ralph Gibson, also described what he believes is a common industry practice. He stated that when major management companies sign developing artists, local managers or producers who helped build the artist's career are often compensated in some way. The lawsuit argues that this did not happen in this situation, and that claim is one of the issues before the court. As of the latest public reporting, neither Roc Nation nor Bread Gang Enterprises had publicly addressed the specific allegations in the lawsuit. Choosing not to comment publicly during active litigation is not unusual, and it means the public has primarily seen the plaintiff's account so far. The defense is expected to present its own position through the legal process. Looking beyond the courtroom, the amount being disputed becomes easier to understand when viewed alongside Moneybagg Yo's career growth after 2017. His rise to mainstream success happened gradually rather than through one defining moment. The mixtapes and independent releases from his early years helped establish a strong foundation that eventually led to much broader commercial success. Projects like Federal 3X, Too Heartless, and Heartless helped Moneybagg Yo build a strong reputation and a loyal regional fan base. His collaboration with fellow Memphis artist Young Dolph expanded his reach even further, introducing his music to a broader audience at an important point in his career. Signing with Interscope Records along with his connection to Collective Music Group, founded by Yo Gotti, gave him the backing of both a major label and a successful independent music organization. When Time Served was released in 2020, it debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, marking a major milestone after years of independent work. That achievement reflected how far his career had progressed and significantly increased his profile within the music industry. Success at that level can also have a major impact on an artist's business opportunities and earnings. His next album, A Gangster's Pain, continued that momentum in 2021. The project performed strongly and included popular tracks that helped expand his audience through radio, streaming platforms, and live performances. By that stage, Moneybagg Yo had established himself as one of the genre's most commercially successful artists, with successful tours, high-profile collaborations, and impressive streaming numbers. That career growth is also why the lawsuit involves such significant financial claims. According to the complaint, Jackson Floyd is seeking a constructive trust that would award her 1/3 of certain revenues dating back to January 1, 2017, along with a full accounting of earnings covered by her legal claims. The $100 million figure is based on more than the plaintiff's claimed initial investment. According to the lawsuit, it reflects the value she says accumulated over time after she was no longer involved with the business. That is how a disagreement over an early business relationship developed into a legal claim involving much larger amount by the time the case approached trial. One point that has often been misunderstood online is the difference between public silence and public speculation. Many people have wondered whether Moneybagg Yo has commented on the lawsuit. Based on publicly available information, he has not issued a statement directly addressing the case. There have been no public interviews, social media posts, or official comments from him specifically discussing the lawsuit. While that silence has led to plenty of online theories and speculation, there is also a practical explanation. In active legal matters, it is common for attorneys to advise their clients to avoid making public statements. Comments made outside the courtroom can become part of the legal process, so remaining silent is often a routine legal approach rather than an indication of any particular position or outcome. What is publicly documented is that Moneybagg Yo has continued with his professional activities while the case has remained active. He attended the 2025 BET Awards, continued working on his music career, and in January 2025 donated $20,000 to the Memphis Shelby County Schools Adolescent Parenting Program at Invictus Academy. Throughout the legal proceedings, Moneybagg Yo has remained active as a public figure. He has continued using social media, making public appearances, and focusing on his music career while the case has moved through the court system. His decision to continue with his professional schedule has drawn attention, although it should not be interpreted as indicating any particular legal outcome or strategy. An artist involved in a high-value civil lawsuit who continues releasing music and appearing at public events may simply be following the guidance of legal counsel while maintaining normal business operations. Since the case is still ongoing, any conclusions about what his public activity means would be speculative. The legal process will ultimately determine the outcome based on the evidence presented by both sides. One interesting question is why a lawsuit originally filed in 2019 only became a widely discussed story years later. The case was part of the public court record, but it remained relatively unnoticed until recent developments, including the confirmed trial date and the change in legal representation, brought renewed media attention. Sometimes legal cases receive little coverage until a major procedural update puts them back into the spotlight. Looking at the broader picture, this case also highlights a topic that extends beyond one artist or one lawsuit. While the specific allegations are unique to this dispute, disagreements involving early business relationships are not uncommon in the entertainment industry. During the early stages of a career, managers, advisors, and business partners often contribute significant time, resources, and effort before an artist achieves widespread commercial success, which can sometimes lead to later contractual or financial disputes if expectations are not clearly documented. In many cases, early business relationships are built on trust instead of detailed written agreements. Everyone is focused on building momentum, creating opportunities, and reaching the next milestone, rather than thinking about what could happen years later. When success arrives faster than expected, those informal arrangements can become much more difficult to sort out, especially if the people involved remember those agreements differently. That is one reason contracts, written records, and clearly defined responsibilities are so important in the entertainment business. They help reduce confusion by explaining who owns what, who is responsible for which decisions, and how compensation will be handled as a career grows. Without that level of clarity, disagreements can become much more complicated once significant money and business opportunities are involved. In this case, both sides are expected to present their evidence in court, where a judge or jury will evaluate the claims, the documents, the communications, and the legal arguments before reaching any conclusions. Until then, the allegations remain exactly that, allegations, and the court process exists to determine which claims are supported by the evidence. As the scheduled court dates approach, more information may become part of the public record. Whether the case is resolved before trial or proceeds all the way through the courtroom, it has already sparked broader conversations about artist management, early business partnerships, and the importance of putting major agreements in writing from the very beginning. In the early stages of an artist's career, supporters often contribute far more than advice. They may spend countless hours making calls, building industry relations, coordinating opportunities, and sometimes providing financial support to help cover essential expenses. Studio time, travel, marketing, photography, video production, and branding all require resources long before an artist begins earning significant income. Because of that, informal business arrangements are common during the early years of many music careers. Instead of detailed written contracts, people sometimes rely on trust, verbal discussions, and shared expectations about how everyone will benefit if success comes later. While that approach can work for a time, it can also create challenges if disagreements arise down the road. When those disagreements reach the courtroom, the legal process generally relies on documented evidence rather than personal recollections alone. Courts often consider written agreements, financial records, communications, and other supporting materials when evaluating each side's claims. If there is little formal documentation, resolving those issues can become much more complex. According to the filings in this case, text messages are among the materials the plaintiff has presented as evidence. The court will ultimately decide what significance, if any, those communications should have. Situations involving early business relationships and later legal disagreements are not unique to this case, which is one reason the proceedings have attracted attention throughout the music industry. A situation like this can develop when an artist's career grows significantly over time, but the expectations of an early business supporter differ from the understanding of the artist's current team. If those differences cannot be resolved privately, they may eventually become the subject of a lawsuit. At that point, the court's role is to determine what agreements, if any, were legally enforceable based on the available evidence. Cases involving older business relationships can be challenging because documentation is sometimes limited and the parties involved may have different recollections of what was discussed years earlier. That is why written records, financial documents, and other evidence often become central to the court's review. According to the plaintiff's filings, this case includes materials such as financial records, payment information, and text messages that she says support her claims. The court will evaluate those documents along with any evidence presented by the defense before reaching any conclusions. Evidence submitted in a case is considered alongside all other relevant facts rather than being viewed in isolation. It is also important to remember that this legal matter is still ongoing. The case has been active since 2019, and public reports indicate that it is scheduled for trial later this year. The $100 million figure frequently mentioned in headlines reflects the amount sought by the plaintiff in the lawsuit. It is a claimed amount in the legal filings, not a court judgment or a final determination, and the outcome will ultimately depend on the legal process and the evidence presented by both sides. The next major chapter in this case will come when the court hears the evidence and legal arguments. The decision reached through the legal process could have a significant impact on everyone involved, which is why so many people are watching the case closely. Until then, the claims and defenses remain matters for the court to evaluate, rather than questions that can be settled by headlines or online discussion. The fact that Moneybagg Yo, Roc Nation, and Bread Gang Enterprises have not publicly commented on the allegations should not be viewed as evidence of any particular position. In active legal matters, it is common for parties to limit public statements while the case is pending. The courtroom, not social media, is where the evidence and legal arguments are expected to be presented. Beyond the legal issues, this case has also sparked a broader conversation about the music business. It highlights how important it is for artists, managers, investors, and business partners to clearly define their agreements from the beginning. Written contracts and detailed records can help avoid misunderstandings if questions arise years later after a career has grown far beyond its early stages. Ultimately, the court will decide the legal issues based on the evidence presented by both sides. Until then, no final conclusions have been reached. What do you think about the claims and the evidence discussed in this case? Do you believe the court filings tell the full story, or do you think there is more to learn once both sides have presented their arguments? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed detailed breakdowns of major stories like this, be sure to check out the next video on your screen for more in-depth coverage.